it's weird to even sit here and look at this list, bro. Like, you've got Oregon and USC on the Big Ten list. It's the first time some of us are getting to see that. You know what I mean? Mixed in with the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Penn States. So forever, it seems like we've had a big three in the Big Ten, and uh, I mean, look, it's like a big five or six now. So I think overall, Big Ten fans have got to be pretty excited for this upcoming season, where you're going to have games against Ohio State and Oregon, and some of these matchups that you just don't see all that often. Although they have them two have played recently, but let's kind of start at the top there. Ohio State. Nobody's recruited better than Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, those teams that I named earlier. Which guys are going to show up? Jeremiah Smith. I'm hearing amazing things. There are murmurs coming out of spring that he's him, and he's the next big thing at Ohio State. 6'3", big frame freshman. Look, I hate to put all the eggs in the basket of a freshman, but I don't think you even have to in this situation, because there are other wide receivers at Ohio State. Nobody's recruited that position better. So I suspect that they're going to be fine there. How will Will Howard pick up this offense? And how much of this offense is going to be centered upon him? Chip Kelly, it's no secret, loves to run the football. And it's no secret that Ohio State has probably got the best running back room in the country, with Judkins and Henderson both come into play running back. So obviously you're going to need those guys to stay healthy. And if they do, they're going to get tons of carries. And we're going to get to see Ohio State and Oregon match up before a Big Ten championship. So let's talk about Oregon for a second. You reload at quarterback. You bring in another Heisman favorite in Dylan Gabriel to quarterback. And not only did you do that, but you brought in the quarterback from UCLA from last year, Dante Moore, to come back him up. So you load it up at quarterback. You go and get a guy like Evan Stewart at wide receiver. So you replace Troy Franklin with an absolute stud at wide receiver. Going to see him have over 1,000 yards this year. Almost undoubtable. I think that this Oregon team has recruited really well for about 3 years now, and that's usually the tipping point, Mason. I think that we're going to see dividends paid on the high level of recruiting that Dan Lanning has done with the Oregon Ducks. What do you think about these top two, and Michigan coming in third there, Penn State, USC followed by Iowa? Huge drop-off after number 4 there. You got plus 600 for Penn State, plus 2,300 for USC. What do you think about this list?
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, USC and Iowa, I'm sorry, any Hawkeyes fans, any Trojans fans out there, I don't think you got a shot. Not this year, right?
Yeah.
Iowa has to do a complete 180 on offense to actually have a shot. The only reason they've really been in the Big Ten championship is because of the split in the divisions over the past I don't even know how many years, but since the existence of the divisions of the Big Ten. USC just lost Caleb Williams. Miller Moss might be the guy. He seems to be really good, but they're undergoing a philosophy change on defense. That's going to take a little while to change. That you don't go from one of the worst defenses in the country to one of the best, and that's what it takes to win the Big Ten. So I'm tabling USC for a season. I want to see. I'm interested in them. I'm going to pay attention to them a lot this year to see how they develop on offense, or excuse me, on defense. We know what they can do offensively, but I need to see it defensively from USC. They're not really in consideration, and I think the odds prove that. Moving on to Penn State. Penn State's got all the weapons except for quarterback and receivers, right? Drew Aller was not good last year. I'm sorry. He was not good. First half of the year, he's pretty good. Once they got into the meat of the schedule, he didn't show up to play in the big games. A lot of that I put on James Franklin for not preparing him well enough to throw the ball down the field, to throw the deep ball when he needed to in games against Michigan and against Ohio State where they were struggling to run the football. He's got to be able to do that from week one. They better be doing that in spring practice. He's got to do that from week 1 to get over the hump of Michigan and Ohio State. Penn State's got to beat Michigan this year, right? To feel like you've got a shot with James Franklin to ever win a national championship, you better beat Michigan this year because it's a down year for Michigan. Okay. Not saying that they're going to do it. They lost a lot on defense. I think that that matters a lot, but what can they do on offense to get better? I think that they have the pieces. I do believe in Drew Aller. I just think that he needs another year of development. So we're going to see what he can do. And then I really haven't done a deep dive on Penn State yet. Not sure who they brought in at receiver, but
they got Julian Fleming from
true.
Ohio State. Now, Julian Fleming, I wouldn't say that he's like a 100% proven commodity necessarily. There's something to be proven with him, but they also brought back Lambert Smith at wide receiver. So, and I think he is a viable threat, but whenever he's your only wide receiver on the field that's a downfield threat, I think that's easy to cover up as an opposing defense.
Well, and your number 1 is not starting for Ohio State, Oregon, or might be starting for Michigan, but not starting at Ohio State or Oregon, right? The big boys,
right?
So that you got to have a little bit better talent there because Oregon and Ohio State's run game is just as good as yours. So you have to find a way to level up your skill level at those positions. So Penn State, I do think that they have a shot, but they've got to improve in those areas. Michigan, not to spend too much time here, but Michigan, they've got to figure out what they're doing at quarterback. Is it going to be Orgy? I think so. I think he's a really talented guy. I like what I saw from him. Had the moxie, had the poise, had the frame, could run the football, powerful arm. Got to see what he can do. Is he going to be accurate? Right? I'm not sure yet. We'll see what he can do there. I don't know what they have on the perimeters. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be great. Offensively, they lost Blake Corum. I believe they lost Donovan Edwards, if I'm not mistaken. So
they did. Yep.
So all new running back room. I expect their offensive line to be good, like normal. And then also they did bring in Ohio State's running backs coach. So let's see what sort of effect he has on the offense and in that run game. He's got a great line to work with in front of him. So let's see what they can do there. Defensively, I think that they're going to be pretty good, but we're moving out of an era of Jim Harbaugh, right, and into what's the guy's name? Jerome. I'm blanking on the new head coach's name right now. Is it Moore? Okay. I wanted to say Smith for some reason, but anyway, so Jerome Moore, he's going to be stepping in. He's an offensive coordinator from last year, stepping in as a head coach. What's going to happen on defense there, right? Historically, that's been a struggle for offensive coaches. Look at Lincoln Riley, right? What can he do on defense? I think that's a big question mark for me. And then you got Oregon, right? Dan Lanning. Look, man, it's tough. Before all of the changes that Ohio State made this offseason, what they did in the transfer portal, and what they did in recruiting, getting like Jeremiah Smith and Chip Kelly, hiring a better offensive coordinator. Before that, I said Oregon was going to come in and win the Big Ten year 1, right? I don't know if I can say that anymore, but if somebody bets on Oregon to win, hey, I see the argument, right? You've got Dylan Gabriel coming in, started for 2 seasons at Oklahoma. He's a veteran guy, and he's a Heisman hopeful. He's, I think, 3rd on the Heisman odds. He's going to step in just like Bo Nix did last year. He's going to step into Oregon, and he's going to play really well right away. He's a veteran guy. They've shown success with these guys in the offense, and I think that Dylan Gabriel is next up to prove what he can do. And he's going to be a Heisman hopeful throughout the entire season. If he doesn't work out, they've got Moore behind him, who's the talented. He'll be a true sophomore next year, who came over from UCLA. Super talented guy. Didn't prove it last year. Was kind of in a tough spot and had to start as a true freshman, but they've got the quarterback position figured out for sure. what they did on defense last year, I think, was impressive. I see them improving this year as well, and making a really good run for this Big Ten championship. I just don't think that they have the horses like Ohio State. Ohio State went out. They got Caleb Downs to shore up their secondary. They already had a really good secondary, Mark. They already
Yeah.
had one of the best in the country. Their linebackers are mostly coming back. Their defensive line is mostly coming. I mean, I think it was like 10 out of 11 starters are coming back on defense, right? And then they ended up getting Caleb Downs. I mean, it's pretty impressive what's being brought back on the defensive side of the football. A defense that 2 seasons ago we were saying what if Ohio State had any sort of a defense, they'd be winning national championships, right? And back when the golly, I'm drawing blanks on names here, Mark. The quarterback that used to play for Georgia that transferred, Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
So back when Justin Fields was quarterback, we were saying if Ohio State had a defense in the top 20, top 30 even, they're winning a national championship, given what they had on the perimeters as well. Well, now they have a defense that's really strong. Now we're kind of questioning what's going to happen on offense.
Right.
I feel really good about Chip Kelly coming in. I feel really good about Will Howard. I continue to say, Will Howard at Kansas State never really had anybody to throw to. Well, now he's got the best wide receiver room in the country, and I think he's going to do really good things this year. Give me Ohio State to win the Big Ten as it stands on March 11th.
Yeah. I'm certainly impressed with Jim Knowles and everything that he's done at Ohio State since he's been there, and the aspect of this team definitely looks a lot different whenever you add a potent defense like that.